Good evening, I'm Sneha Koshi and we are going to give you a roundup of all that's been happening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking in Lok Sabha a day after Congress's Rahul Gandhi's attack on his government, lashed out at 10 years of UPA rule, slamming their rule as India's lost decade. Hit out at Rahul Gandhi over his absence in the House and the opposition, taking a dig, saying elections could never bring them together, but Enforcement Directorate did.
मैं धन्यवाद के साथ साथ राष्ट्रपति महोदया जी का अभिनंदन भी करना चाहता हूं। अपने विजनरी भाषण में राष्ट्रपति जी ने हम सबको और करोड़ों देशवासियों को मार्गदर्शन किया है। लेकिन मैं देख रहा था कल कुछ लोगों के भाषण के बाद पूरा इकोसिस्टम समर्थक उछल रहे थे। बड़ा शायद नींद भी अच्छी आई होगी, शायद आज उठ भी नहीं पाए होंगे। आदरणीय अध्यक्ष जी, मुझे लगता था देश की जनता देश के चुनाव के नतीजे ऐसे लोगों को जरूर एक मंच पर लाएंगे, लेकिन वो तो हुआ नहीं। लेकिन इन लोगों ने ईडी का धन्यवाद करना चाहिए कि ईडी के कारण ये लोग एक मंच पे आए हैं। सिवाय आरोप, गाली गलौज, कुछ भी बोल दो, इसके सिवाय कुछ नहीं किया। गलत आरोप। और हाल ये चुनाव हार जाओ, ईवीएम खराब, दे दो गाली। चुनाव हार जाओ, चुनाव आयोग को गाली दे दो। क्या तरीका है? अगर कोर्ट में फैसला पक्ष में नहीं आया तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट को गाली दे दो, उसकी आलोचना कर दो। अगर भ्रष्टाचार की जांच हो रही है तो जांच एजेंसियों को गाली दो। अगर सेना पराक्रम करे, सेना अपना शौर्य दिखाए और वो नैरेटिव देश के जन जन के अंदर एक नया विश्वास पैदा करे, तो सेना की आलोचना करो, सेना को गाली दो, सेना पर आरोप करो। कभी आर्थिक देश की प्रगति की खबरें आए, आर्थिक प्रगति की चर्चा हो, विश्व के सारे संस्थान भारत के आर्थिक गौरवगान करे, तो यहां से निकलो, आरबीआई को गाली दो, भारत के आर्थिक संस्थानों को गाली दो। 2014 से ये लगातार कोस रहे हैं, हर मौके पर कोस रहे हैं। भारत कमजोर हो रहा है, भारत की कोई सुनने को तैयार नहीं है, भारत की दुनिया में कोई वजूद नहीं रहा, न जाने क्या क्या कहा। और अब क्या कह रहे हैं? अब कह रहे हैं कि भारत इतना मजबूत हो गया है कि दूसरे देशों को दबकाकर फैसले करवा रहा है। अरे पहले ये तो तय करो भाई कि भारत कमजोर हुआ है कि मजबूत हुआ है। जो अहंकार में डूबे होते हैं, जो बस सब कुछ हम ही को ज्ञान है, सब हमारा ये सही सही है, ऐसी जो सोच में जीते हैं, उनको लगता है कि मोदी को गाली दे करके ही हमारा रास्ता निकलेगा। मोदी पर झूठे अनाप शनाप कीचड़ उछाल करके ही रास्ता निकलेगा। अब 22 साल बीत गए, वो गलतफहमी पाल करके बैठे हुए हैं। मोदी पे भरोसा अखबार की सुर्खियों से पैदा नहीं हुआ है। मोदी पे ये भरोसा टीवी पर चमकते चेहरों से नहीं हुआ है। जीवन खपा दिया है, पल पल खपा दी है, देश के लोगों के लिए खपा दी है, देश के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए खपा दी है। आपकी गालियों को, आपके आरोपों को इन कोटि कोटि भारतीयों से होकर के गुजरना पड़ेगा, जिनको दशकों तक मुसीबतें में जिंदगी जीने के लिए तुमने मजबूर किया। कुछ लोग अपने लिए, अपने परिवार के लिए बहुत कुछ तबाह करने पर लगे हुए हैं, अपने लिए, अपने परिवार के लिए जी रहे हैं। मोदी तो 25 करोड़ देशवासियों के परिवार का सदस्य है। 140 करोड़ देशवासियों के आशीर्वाद, ये मेरा सबसे बड़ा सुरक्षा कवच है।
And as part of the showdown in Parliament, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi questioned why parts of his speech, his attack on Prime Minister and his alleged links with businessman Adani were expunged from Parliament records. Alleges Prime Minister was shell-shocked and even questioned Prime Minister's alleged silence on demands for probe being raised in Parliament.
Why was my words expunged? In fact, Prime Minister was shell-shocked. He was in shock and there was no answer. एक जवाब नहीं दिया प्रधानमंत्री जी ने। और मैंने कोई कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्वेश्चन तो नहीं पूछा है। मैंने ये पूछा है आपके साथ कितनी बार गए हैं, वहां कितनी बार मिले हैं। इंक्वायरी की बात नहीं हुई। अगर मित्र नहीं है तो ये कहते ठीक है मैं इंक्वायरी करा देता हूं। इंक्वायरी की बात नहीं हुई।
Well, now a poll special from Tripura, where a new party, Tripura Moda, is turning out to be the game changer and possible kingmaker. NDTV's Ratnadeep Chaudhary reports from Ground Zero.
In the high-stakes battle for Tripura, the state's former royal scion, 44-year-old Pradyut Manikya has emerged as a key player.
In Tripura elections, all eyes are on Pradyut Manikya and his 2-year-old party, Tripura Motha Party. He has been touring across the state, particularly in the tribal-dominated areas, campaigning for his party. Out of the 60 seats, Tripura Motha Party is contesting in 42 seats, but this party is seen by political watchers as one of the key factors in the Tripura elections. This is घिसा पिटा हुआ talk about palace and no palace. These are people who don't live in palaces. I never studied in Cambridge or Oxford. I studied in the Northeast. I first belonged to them. Then, of course, I am aware of my legacy and my lineage, and that's my duty. And the first thing, a duty of a erstwhile king's grandson should do is empower his community which have been deprived, not empower himself. This is not about me, it's about them.
Pradyut's grandfather, Bir Bikram Manikya, was Tripura's last ruler between 1923 to 1947. Now, over 7 decades later, his grandson is trying to script a new chapter in Tripura's political history. While Pradyut is not contesting himself, he is the star campaigner for his party. The primary target for the party is state's over 30% tribal votes. Pradyut's party has demanded a separate state for tribals in the last 2 years. A demand the BJP says is an attempt to drive a wedge between the state's significant Bengali-speaking population and the tribals.
मोथा को वोट, कांग्रेस को वोट, मतलब कम्युनिस्टों को वोट.
Pradyut's supporters say, irrespective of the demand, their party wants everyone's vote.
अभी फाइट नहीं किया तो कभी फाइट कर नहीं पाएगा.
Any law which discriminates on the basis of religion is something which is unacceptable to the government of India, should be unacceptable, and our case is pending in the Supreme Court, and we hope that the government of India
rethinks about implementing CAA in Northeast, especially Tripura and Assam. कि इनका पूरा पॉलिटिक्स ही डिवाइड एंड रूल का है. मैंने कभी भी और कभी जिंदगी में आने वाले दिन में भी ना बंगाली, ना मणिपुरी, ना हिंदू, ना मुसलमान, ना क्रिश्चियन, ना ट्राइबल को कभी भी बांटने की कोशिश करूंगा.
Pradyut's party symbol is Tripura's famous pineapple, and the Royal Science Big Pitch is Khansa or unity in local language. From Ompi Nagar and Shantir Bazar in Tripura, with cameraman Sanjay Chakravarti, Ratnadeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
Well, when was the last time you thought twice before using the 500 rupee or 1,000 rupee note that you may have in your wallet? What difference can 1,000 rupees make to a family and the education of children, especially the girl child? Sohit Mishra reports on the impact on families as key scholarships in Maharashtra, especially beneficial to the minority sections, have been scrapped.
Afreen Qureshi earns a living by stitching small things at home. She could not complete her own education, but now helps her two daughters complete their studies. Afreen is the sole breadwinner of the family, and the 2,000 rupees her two daughters would get annually as scholarship from the central government was a huge respite for the family. But this assistance has now been stopped for the beneficiaries.
स्कॉलरशिप जो मिलती थी वो हम लोग को बहुत सहूलत थी स्कॉलरशिप की. एक टाइम हम लोग को स्कॉलरशिप मिलती थी, इससे हम लोग ड्रेस लेते थे बच्चों का 1 साल. वो ड्रेस हम लोग रिपीट 3 साल चलाते. फिर एक बच्ची को मिलती है, 2 बेटियां हैं मेरी, तो उसमें से एक दूसरी को मिलती तो हम लोग उससे कॉपी किताब खरीदते. हम लोग को बहुत सहूलत थी स्कॉलरशिप की. जैसे कभी ड्रेस आ गया, कभी कॉपी किताब आ गई, कभी सैंडल है, जूते हैं, स्कूल के बहुत से खर्चे रहते थे, वो उन ज़रूरतों से पूरे हो जाते थे स्कॉलरशिप से. नहीं आएगा तो बहुत नुकसान होगा. हम लोग को थोड़ी मेहनत ज़्यादा करना पड़ेगा, कुछ भी काम एक्स्ट्रा करना पड़ेगा, जिससे हम लोग की ज़रूरतें पूरी हो जाए तो हम लोग के बच्चे पढ़ पाएंगे आगे.
Afreen's is not the only case. Kehkashan Khan, who lives in the same area, runs a house by doing embroidery work throughout the day. She lives with her two daughters in a rented house and barely earns 7,000 to 8,000 rupees a month. This is a tiny amount, and the annual scholarships helped her meet the needs of a school-going daughter.
1,000 रुपए में कैसा बच्चे लोग का जो स्कूल में यूनिफॉर्म्स और कॉपी किताब जो आती थी ना, पहले बच्चे लोग थे, इन लोग का स्कॉलरशिप का जो कुछ भी मतलब पैसा इन लोग को मिलता था. अभी कैसा ना, वो जो पैसे में मतलब अभी मैं कोई काम में मैं डबल मेहनत हो गई है, जिससे मुझे खाना आना पकाने का रहता है. समझो अभी दिन भर का पका लिए तो बच्चे लोग के साथ में थोड़ा टाइम स्पेंड करना है, क्या बच्चों को कहीं लेके जाना आना. लेकिन अभी वो सब कुछ नहीं होता. अब मैं सोचती हूँ वही 2 पैसे के लिए मेरे, और मैं अगर ये काम कर दूंगी 1-2 घंटा और, तो मेरे वो पैसे मेरे बच्चों को काम आएंगे.
Recently, a protest against the central government was held at the Azad Maidan in Mumbai against the removal of the student scholarship. The centre began scholarships for minority students from 2006. The scholarships had started on the recommendation of the Sachar Committee report. The scholarships were given to students with annual family incomes of less than 1 lakh rupees. In the last 8 years, 5.2 crore pre-matric scholarships have been given. Over 6,700 MPhil PhD students have benefited since 2014. The central government claims the scholarships have been stopped because education till class 8 in government schools is free under the right to education. But there are scholars like Dr. Bhalchandra Mungekar, a former planning commission member, who believe that scholarships have been stopped to target a particular minority community.
I accuse the government, in fact they are targeting the Muslim community, because if we see the statistics of the beneficiaries from years together, we find, for example, recently the statistics was quoted in the parliament from 2014-15 to 2021-22. Out of the total scholarships, 3.63 crore scholarships were given for the Muslims.
But girls seem to be at the risk of losing out the most.
कि लड़कों को तो कैसे वैसे माँ बाप बोलेंगे नहीं पढ़ाना है, लेकिन लड़कियों को बोलेंगे अगर लड़की तो बोलेंगे जाने दो, उनको आगे क्या करना है, उसको पढ़ा नहीं, उनको पता, उनको पहले से पता होता है कि हम ज्यादा आगे पढ़ा नहीं पाएंगे, वैसे 10वीं तक ही हम पढ़ा लेंगे क्योंकि स्कूल हमारे एरिया में है, तो यहाँ पे नजदीक होने से बच्चे 10वीं तो कर लेते हैं. लेकिन अब क्या होगा, इसकी वजह से 10वीं भी नहीं कर पाएंगे क्योंकि उनको मतलब उनके पास है ही नहीं कुछ. बच्चे पेरेंट्स एकदम बेसहारा, उनके पास है ही नहीं, इनकम का कोई जरिया ही नहीं है. तो ऐसे में वो लोग क्या करते हैं कि फिर बच्चों में देखा जाए तो लड़कियों को ही बिठा देते हैं.
When asked about the closure of the scholarship in the current budget session, Minority Minister Smriti Irani said in a written reply that due to free education from class 1 to 8 under the right to education, Only class 9 and 10 students are now being given a scholarship. As the Maulana Azad National Fellowship Scheme overlaps with various fellowship schemes for higher education, the government has decided to discontinue the MANF scheme from 22-23.
The closure of these scholarships have affected mostly those families where these children are the first generation to ever get formal education. However, now there is a question regarding their future. The scholarship is supposed to bring those who are deprived into the mainstream, but now it seems like the most deprived students are getting away from it. In Mumbai, with camera person Rajendra Dayalkar and Praveen Jirohit, Sohit Mishra, NDTV.
And over 11,000 people have been killed in Turkey, Syria after a devastating earthquake. Cemeteries are overflowing amid mass funerals. Extremely distressing visuals have been emerging from Turkey, even if it be the miraculous rescue of a newborn infant crying under the rubble, her umbilical cord still connected to her mother. India's NDRF search and rescue teams have reached Turkey under Operation Dost. 1 Indian is missing and 10 are stranded in remote areas of Turkey, according to Government of India as of now.
More relief material, a mobile hospital and specialized search and rescue teams from India are on the ground in Turkey, helping the country in the wake of the devastating earthquakes. India has sent over 100 NDRF personnel for search and rescue efforts, Indian Army medical teams, a mobile hospital with a 30-bed facility, along with other medical equipment as well as dog squads. For Syria, India has sent 3 truckloads of protective gear along with emergency medical equipment and medicines.
What MEA has done meanwhile is that we have deployed 2 Turkish-speaking officers from overseas who flew into Turkey and are now stationed there. With our aircrafts, we also deployed 4 MEA personnel to coordinate and help the process and the operation to coordinate between the Turkish authorities and our teams.
Khalsa aid teams have also been dispatched from the United Kingdom and Iraq to help provide food as well as water.
We will be setting up our aid, which will be we will set up a kitchen, we will be serving hot meals, also distributing blankets and whatever necessary there to help these people who are affected by the earthquake.
The death toll from Monday's catastrophic earthquakes have surged above 11,200. The numbers are expected to continue to increase as more rubble is excavated. This as violent aftershocks rumble on in some parts of Turkey. Shops are closed, there is no heat because gas lines have been cut to avoid explosions, and finding petrol is tough. While anger is mounting in Turkey and Syria over what was described as a slow and inadequate response by authorities, some extraordinary survival tales have also emerged. A 7-year-old Syrian girl was seen shielding her younger brother's head under the rubble. Fortunately, this brother-sister duo made it out safely after being stuck for about 17 hours. A young girl was also rescued from rubble in Turkey's Adıyaman after being buried for 47 hours. Extended family members pulled a newborn baby alive from the rubble of a home in northern Syria after finding her still tied by her umbilical cord to her mother. This infant is the sole survivor of her immediate family, the rest of whom were all killed. India's massive assistance to Turkey is being seen as a move that could reset the trajectory of ties between both countries. Turkey's president has been critical on Kashmir in the past, and Turkey has close military ties with Pakistan, but New Delhi's present outreach and a tempering of Turkish rhetoric on Kashmir at the last UN General Assembly session could indicate a return to what was once an extremely close friendship between the two nations. Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV.
Absolute devastating visuals coming out of Turkey, but it's time for a short break. On the other side, Ukraine President's surprise visit. Welcome back. And Ukraine President Zelensky has made his first visit to the UK since Russia invaded his country, seen as a surprise visit and his second international trip since the war. Zelensky is speaking alongside Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in Dorset at the end of his visit, hours after he gave a speech to the joint houses of the British Parliament. Zelensky is calling for the UK to provide fighter jets to Ukraine, something Western allies have so far declined to do. Let's listen in.
Стагнація. Ви запитали мене, що буде, якщо не буде літаків або достатньої кількості далекобійної зброї.
We have already achieved remarkable results, and we must make every effort to turn our achievements into the foundations of the future global security architecture. The world needs your leadership, Britain, just as it needs Ukrainian bravery.
That's all we have in this bulletin. Thank you for watching.